First, what is the green vision? What does it mean to be green? The shortest and simplest answer, although there's a lot of nuance in this answer, is that green politics is defined by these four pillars. And these four pillars represent green politics decently well in the US and around the world. And the four pillars are peace, and sometimes that's written as peace through nonviolence in particular. There's the ecology pillar, there's the social justice pillar, and then finally there's democracy. And we want to be more specific here that we're referring to a grassroots, more direct form of democracy, rather than the corporate oligarchy controlled representative democracy, notice air quotes, that the US has right now. We're talking more of a participatory form of democracy where everyone is included in decision making. Everyone is part of that process, and they're heard when they have questions or concerns or whatever it is. We want to build community organizations and government structures and all that are careful to include everyone in the decision-making process. And when we elect people and such, we want to elect them with the idea that they are serving the people and that they're not just going off and doing whatever they want. They're being directed by decision-making from the community at large. Social justice is all of the stuff that you'd probably think of. It's tackling poverty, it's tackling racism, and many related issues. Ecology is making sure that we live sustainably with the planet within the means of the environment, which is very important right now as the climate crisis is growing. There was the recent IPCC report that came out that said there's less than a decade essentially to take really strong action in order to meet the 1.5 Celsius mark. So this is a really important time in human history to really focus on that. And then, of course, peace is pretty self-explanatory, particularly in the sense of being anti-war and anti-imperialist. But, our vision of peace is more than that. Peace also means that there has to be justice, that people feel comfortable in how society works. So we have these four pillars that essentially define our politics. A lot of times you'll hear it expanded into what's known as the 10 key values. And I don't have them listed here, but the 10 key values are just kind of an expanded form of this to kind of describe what these pillars mean a little bit more. For example, when I was talking about grassroots democracy, one of the 10 key values is decentralization, that we have a focus on making sure that things are decentralized as opposed to centralized, because then you can make sure that more people are included in the process as opposed to a centralized decision-making structure, which tends to favor, a smaller group of people or maybe even one person making decisions for everyone else. And of course, that's a tendency. It doesn't mean that, there's some nuance in there, right? That sometimes I think people get kind of hung up on the word centralized or decentralized, but it's a tendency, right? It's a something to keep in mind, that we're trying to be as inclusive as possible. So, putting all those, the key values and the four pillars together with statements from our party platform, we can kind of sum up all of those, the four pillars, by saying that the Green Party is an eco-socialist, anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist political party. So I think that's probably the shortest way to describe the Green Party. We are an eco-socialist party. And, that means a bunch of things that we'll talk about both here tonight, but also in our next session, Socialism 101. So, bookmark that for next month, if you're not entirely sure what eco-socialism means. But hopefully you'll get at least the basics of it in the rest of this presentation tonight, if you're not too familiar. The four pillars are, like I said, a good summary of what it means.